to help you guys. Okay, this is a Andrea Welch. You're in the wrong county today. Okay, sorry. That's okay. This is a special hearing for, I guess, visitation or placement or whatever. Everybody, what y'all previously said, y'all swear that was true and correct?
We do.
Stuff. Okay, Miss Nelson wanted this hearing. Miss Nelson, tell me what's up. I mean, I know what's up, but just synopsis for me.
Yes, so she did lose her placement at the shelter where we felt that she kind of had some stability. So she's in North Carolina right now. And
back up. Why did she lose her place at the shelter?
She was at an emergency shelter and was only supposed to be there for 90 days originally, but she was doing really well and they had gotten extensions for her. But when she left for the visit, they weren't able to hold the placement.
Okay.
And I did confirm with the staff there that there's no chance that she could return there just because she was already kind of on a double extension. So she's in North Carolina. If she comes back to Texas, placement is uncertain. It could be CWAP. They might be able to find a home. And I just don't feel like that would be great for her right now. You know, she's with her family. She's definitely testing her boundaries. But I believe she's in an environment where she's safe. And also, if we're potentially looking at ICPC, it's a good opportunity to see how they do. And I've really gotten the feel from her aunt that she does want her to stay connected to her mother. So there's not an antagonistic type of view there where she wants them to be connected. But my main concern is that if she comes back here to Texas, she ends up CWAP or something where it throws the stability and then we're going to have more behaviors, but not around family who knows her and can kind of help rein that in to keep her safe.
What I heard Ms. Fuller say these folks aren't really family. I guess they're more like fictive kin. Well, somebody tell me the connection, the real connection.
The real connection is my father married their aunt.
Father married their aunt. Okay. And Ms. Fuller, I heard you talk about how old they are, or they're older than you. Give me some info.
Yes, they are all older than me. Like what? What are you asking me?
Like, are they 80, 60?
Oh, okay. So the main guardian, which is Aunt Janice, the mother of everyone in the house, or the grandmother of everyone in the house, the mother and the grandmother of everyone in the house, I do believe she's in her late 70s.
Okay.
June is in her 50s or 50, you know, or just turning like 50. But Helen's in her 40s and Tina's as well as in her 40s.
A bunch of women run the house?
Yes, women.
Okay. How many kids are there?
Let's see, Jasmine, Jaquan, 2 kids, or 1 kid. So right now I would say 2, besides Zaira. No, 3, Chase. Forgot about Chase.
Okay, y'all, I thought we ordered an ICPC like a million years ago at the beginning of the case. I don't have my docket sheet because, like I said, this was added late. I mean, do we have any info on the update on the ICPC?
We haven't. My understanding that it was filed shortly before our most recent hearing, June.
You mean the request?
Correct. Yeah, it was sent from Texas to North Carolina. Jerica did mention she's been filling out paperwork for it, but I don't know the status. We kind of changed over caseworkers again. I'm not sure if CPS has an update on their end. Ms.
Fuller, I know that she lived a lot of her life, or they've raised her a lot. Explain to me how that happened in her lifetime.
Okay. As far as that goes, I was at work a lot and I went to school. So my parents watched her essentially while I did those things. So when she got about 4, you know what I'm saying? Because she was there, because I was at work so much, she wanted to be at my parents' house. So I allowed that to be. You understand what I'm saying? I would go over there, or whenever she wanted to come back to my apartment, she could come, whatever. It was like I said, I allowed that to be.
Where did you live then? Where did you live then?
North Carolina. I was still in North Carolina. I was always around. I was always there. I just allowed her to be.
I got it.
In their care, I suppose, versus me coming to get her every night and she coming to sleep at my house.
I got it. Okay, keep going. She got to be 4.
Right. So around when she was about 6, Rodney came looking for me or whatever the case may be. His cousin found me on Facebook and all of this. Oh, I want to see Zaira after being told he didn't want nothing to do with it. He came back around when she was 6. Couple years later after that, he come with this visitation like somebody denied him or something. Nobody denied you anything. When I initially told you I was pregnant, you told me to get an abortion. You didn't want nothing to do with the pregnancy. Like I said, it's been hell ever since he came, excuse my language, but ever since he came pretending he wanted to have some type of relationship with Zaira. I've been going through all of this dumb stuff. Now, this final straw here was this, and this is the result of it. The final straw is me.
Go back. She was 6. Who was she living with then? Go through her life with me a little bit more.
She was still living with me. She was still with me and my parents, basically. She was still with me.
How was she living? How were these people involved in her life?
What do you mean? How were they involved? Like I said, my parents watched her while I was at work.
Okay.
Like I said, I worked a lot.
These people that she's with now, they're not your parents, right?
No, they're not my parents. They would be my in-laws. Oh no, they're my in-laws.
Okay, so how did they get involved?
They would be my cousins or my aunt-in-law. That's
okay,
how they get involved. That's the relation.
How did they get involved?
What it is, she would go play with Jasmine. Jasmine is Helen's daughter, which is June's sister, which is June's niece. Because June is the one y'all talking to, right? Which would be my cousin-in-law. That's who June is to me, my cousin-in-law.
Did Zaira live with them?
Zaira never. I mean, we live with them together. 2019, 2020, that year. We lived with them together.
Okay.
Prior to that, Zaira would go over there. We would go over there. She would play with Jasmine, but she would go over there with me or my stepmom. It was never, she was just living there. She never lived there outside of with me and when I came to New York.
Okay. So get me to 2020. What happened after that?
2020. Basically, I was still there in 2020. I didn't come to New York till April 2021. Okay. I'm sorry.
Why'd you go to New York?
Because I was tired of living. Like I said, I was tired of living in North Carolina, for one. I never wanted to live in North Carolina. I'm just going to be honest. Prior to that, I tried to move out of North Carolina before, but I could not find a house. Okay. I was in PA. I tried to find a house in PA. It didn't work because I lost my job and I couldn't find a house. So I had to go back to North Carolina. It failed that time. It didn't work. It's not the first time I left North Carolina to not want to live in North Carolina. Okay. So this time I came to New York. I'm trying New York. I'm from New Jersey originally. I'm from the city. Like I said, I never wanted to live in North Carolina. So that was that. I got the opportunity to leave. So I left. And like I said, when I was in the process of coming to New York, I told Zaira said she wanted to stay where she is now till I found a place. That was okay. That was okay. That arrangement was okay. But I guess she stopped wanting to listen. She stopped doing her work. And like I said, when I would call and check on it, they would say everything is okay. And then one day it just hit the fan. And then supposedly they couldn't get in contact with me. I know I lost my phone, someone stole my phone. So it was a period of time where I didn't have a phone for like 3 weeks. But this was way after the fact. They talking about they couldn't get in contact with me. And it was weird because I was like, I don't understand why they would say that. They don't call me. Every time I'm talking to Zaira, the phone just mysteriously hangs up some type of way. And then she doesn't call me at all, period.
Okay. So when did Rodney get her?
So Rodney came to get her every summer that he had the visitation, except for one summer where he was actually moving to Texas.
Okay.
Ever since he had the visitation, he would come get her every summer though. So that was already, and then like I said, the initial summer that I came to New York, 2021, he went and got her. She cried, from my understanding, she cried to go back to North Carolina because like she was in Jersey because he brought her to Jersey to see me in 2021. The summer of 2021, he brought her to see me in Jersey. She started crying, talking about she don't want to go see my mother, my real mother. She didn't want to be her grandmother. She wanted to stay with Rodney, so I let her stay. You know what I'm saying? You crying tears, you acting like you didn't want to come with me or visit me that time. She started crying to be with Rodney, so I let that be. 3 weeks later, I get a phone call from Helen or a text message from Helen, which is one of my cousins-in-laws in North Carolina, saying, Zaira's back here. No, I did not know Zaira was back there. I thought she was still with Rodney. So I called Rodney and asked him, why did he send her back to North Carolina? Because even then they were telling me that, you know what I'm saying, that she was not listening or something then.
Okay.
And I asked him, I was like, well, why did you send her back to North Carolina? Why you didn't try to contact me or anything? Oh, that's because that's where she cried to be and this, that, and the third. Okay, so she was left in North Carolina for that school year.
Okay.
For 2021, 2022. She was left in North because I was in a single women's shelter at this time. She could not be with me. I was in a single women's shelter. So she finishes school. You understand what I'm saying? She passed, but she barely passed. You understand what I'm saying? Like I said, it was issues all during the school year with her not listening or whatever the case may be. You understand what I'm saying? So when the summertime came back around again, I asked, you know what I'm saying? I asked Rodney, you know what I'm saying? Well, what you gonna do? So I can know what I need to do essentially, because now it's just nobody can handle her. You understand what I'm saying? It was just out of control. So I asked him, you understand what I'm saying? What are you gonna do? So he went and got her. The night he went and got her, it was midnight. She was nowhere to be found. When they found her, the police was called already, and you know what I'm saying? Everything is just out of whack. Tina yelling in the background, oh, you should have been came and got your daughter. They about to fight because they talking about Ronnie being disrespectful. It was just a whole bunch of mess. The day that he went to go get her. So the next morning, I'm still getting phone calls. Zaira don't want to go. She don't want to get in the car. She want to go to DIFIS, this, that, and the third. I was like, well, what are you talking about? I was like, well, bring it to me. I'll just have to figure out what I need to do, because you talking about, well, yeah, she could go to foster care because that's where she asking to go. Now, this is before all of this happened. Before all this happened, because I was still in the shelter.
I understand.
Before CPS even got involved, this is what was going on. So I told her, I say, well, you could bring her to me, and I just have to figure out what I need to do. Because like I said, she asked to be in North Carolina. Why I found a place, I trusted it. But like I said, it didn't work out.
Okay, so that time when Rodney went to get her, is that when Rodney?
Exactly. He filed for custody, and I'm like, well, what are you talking about? You want full custody? I said, you don't want a co-parent. He came with I want to get a stimulus check. I want food stamps. I want all these benefits that you get for having a kid. Like, what are you talking about? You're not talking about actually building a relationship. You're not talking about building spent time. None of that. You're not talking about the right things. It's why I was never comfortable with the situation. But it was nothing I could do because he already had mandatory visitation anyway. So you want to act like you want a co-parent to help me, but you didn't help me at all.
How long did she stay living with Rodney?
She lived with Rodney for 5 months. After the custody battle, she lived with him for 5 months.
Okay.
I didn't know that she was getting beat on.
Right.
So she
wasn't here, ma'am. So she wasn't here for that long of a time, right?
Right. No, not at all. She was there for 5 months.
Okay. Where did y'all had a custody fight?
Yes. In November, October, he filed for custody.
And where was that? What state was that?
North Carolina, he filed for full custody.
Y'all had lawyers?
I didn't have no lawyer. He didn't have no lawyer. There was no witnesses, no nothing.
So did y'all go in front of the judge?
We was just like this on a video call.
Okay. And he got custody, right?
Yes. I sent the court order paperwork to I don't know who, but someone asked me for it, and I sent everything over.
Okay. How long have you been with your boyfriend you have now?
3 years.
And is he your baby's daddy?
Yes.
Does he work?
Not right now. He's in school.
Do you work?
I do.
What do you do, ma'am?
I work at a bowling alley. I'm a server.
Okay. Who takes care of the baby when you're at work?
He does.
What would you do work-wise if your daughter was with you permanently or on a visit, or just if she was with you in New York? What would you do?
What do you mean? What would I do?
What would you do about childcare? Somebody watching her, stuff like that.
Always on.
So, I mean, Brandon is always here.
Okay. What kind of job does Brandon do if he has a job?
Medical examiner assistant.
Oh, wow. Cool.
And I've been a mortician for 11 years.
Okay, good. Why does Brandon, Miss Fuller, Brandon's not under oath right now. So why Brandon doesn't have a job right now?
Right now, currently, he's in school. He's been having some health issues with his stomach. So
You can tell her what I have.
he has colon cancer, so he's been having some issues with his stomach, and the type of, you know what I'm saying, previous jobs that he has been putting a lot of strain on his body. So I told him to take a break because
Okay.
I don't, you know.
Do you have any other children, ma'am?
Besides my two, no.
Okay. Does he have any other children?
Yes,
And where are they?
in North Carolina.
Okay. With their moms?
Yes.
Yes,
Does he have visitation or any custody orders
Yeah.
or anything?
yes,
Okay. Does he see his kids?
yes,
Okay. Does Zahara know him?
yes. She don't. I'm not going to say they have like a relationship, but she does know him.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else have any questions? Or anything they want to say? I heard everything y'all said, basically, before I showed my face. Mr. Sturmer, everybody just tell me their position. I kind of know it, but just tell me.
Our position is just the same as it's been, Judge. We laid out some pretty simple requirements before we would send the child to her on visit. She hasn't done those things, so we're just kind of in the same position we've been in.
Only reason why I haven't done the drug test because it
Ma'am, I wasn't
somehow
talking to you.
went from urine to hair.
I
for the
got it.
visitation. That's the only reason why I didn't do the drug test. Like I said, it's already paid for a urine test.
I heard you.
$100
Mr.
something
Darby.
more dollars for a hair test.
I got it. Ms. Darby.
And Judge, this case, I think everyone knows, has frustrated me since the beginning because Ms. Fuller,
Right.
in every sense, the non-offending parent. And since the beginning, there's been these hurdles that they've had to jump through for her to even get a visit. And
Exactly. Now she's just in North Carolina.
Miss Fuller, be
I
quiet.
apologize. I
Miss
apologize.
Fuller, zip it, be quiet.
And then it seems like then we just we send her off to North Carolina without those people having any hurdles to jump through when there was history in the past regarding them not wanting to deal with Zahara's behavior. So they're not family. Every legal purpose, mom would trump them. I understand that, it sounds like Zahara wants to go out there, but I agree with Miss Fuller. I think because she doesn't want to be disciplined and she wants to rule the roost. And I just find it completely upsetting that I wasn't on any email to you regarding setting this hearing until Miss Mystic, I think, sent me your response to get all the attorneys involved. So, but two, I still don't, it just frustrates me that mom, she has a baby at home, she's had no issues, and she can't get a visit because they've been holding this drug test over her head, but yet we send her out to North Carolina without anyone going out there and doing drug tests on those people.
I understand. Okay. Ms. Nelson.
I understand the concerns. Nothing was ordered for the family, excuse me, in North Carolina, but I've spoken to Jerica, who said they're willing to drug test, do whatever the department needs to make them feel confident that Zahir is in a good place. And then once again, the issue right now isn't permanent placement. It's looking at the temporary. She doesn't have the shelter to go back. And just my main concern is that she comes back here, ends up CWAP, and is disrupted all over again. And just for her mental health, for where she's at, I'd rather her be with family who can keep a closer eye on the situation. Like you've heard from all parties involved too, North Carolina is home to her. It's what she knows. It's what's familiar. I do understand about kind of going back, mom wanting to work her services to get visitation. But right now, what we have to immediately address is that the school year starting and she doesn't have placement. So that's my top concern today.
Okay. Miss Mystic.
So Zahira will be 14 tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she looks 18. So here's the concern. Number one, whichever place you pick, I hope it's one or the other and not back to Texas, because that's not good. We know that. Here are the fears. And I don't know. I mean, she has a fear of abandonment of mom. She has a fear of Brooklyn, the big city. That probably is just a kiddo, not sure. Okay. And then she has some concerns that she's going to be the caregiver for the baby. Okay. I I would love a visit. I do agree with Mr. Sturmer. We laid out some things. I got it. I think Miss Darby made a good point. You know, we sent her for a visit. We didn't get those things. So I think that can be rectified. You know, I know what Zahira wants. She doesn't want to go to mom. Some of it's fear. Is it one of these, like, you send her for a visit and she goes, oh, it's not like that. You know what I mean? Do I think she's going to be in danger? No. I mean, I think mom, I feel mom's a little mad maybe at Zahira's behavior. And I'm concerned about that because she's a child. Okay. So that's a little concerning. Some of the comments come across that this kiddo is responsible for this, or I'm angry at this child. And I get it. She's 13. We all get mad at teenagers. Okay. But she hadn't been with her in a while. So, you know, do we do a little visit before school starts just to see how it goes? I hope she's not using marijuana. It is a drug. I know a lot of people don't feel that way. She's got a baby in the house. My understanding is she's still in the shelter, which we've talked about. It's a little different up there than we think of shelters here. I know there's not room for her, but I know if she went, we were told she would immediately get a 2-bedroom. I don't know for a visit, but again, if it's camping out on the floor on a pad, I don't know. So,
Dory,
but,
I can just interject really quickly. I'm so
Hello?
sorry. I don't
What?
believe she's still at the shelter.
oh, okay, great. She got a house.
She's,
Good.
Sharifa, correct me if I'm wrong, but at the permanency conference, you said that you were living with Brandon now, correct?
Yes, I'm here until I get my place.
Okay, so, sorry, my dog. We might need to hear a little bit about that. I know we have to go to other stuff, but that may be a better situation. I don't know. So,
Okay. Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm going to let her go on a visit to mom. And we're gonna have another hearing on this on the 16th. I want her to go to visit, see if we can get plane flights up there this week and get her so we can revisit this on the 16th, which is our next court date. So I'm not really gonna make a decision today. I want to see how that goes. CASA, CPS, Miss Mystic, y'all contact daily up there. Y'all work out a schedule.
yeah, Brittany, you can send me the info for.
I want y'all to be able to, I'm with her daily or Zoom or whatever. Once she gets up there, she can stay there on the 16th. I just want to have a hearing on the 16th. Miss Fuller, the ad litems are going to need to talk to your daughter in a private setting during sometimes, so that needs to occur. I don't want anybody to smoke marijuana in the presence of the child or while she is up there on a visit. No one. If she's staying with Brandon and Miss Fuller, no marijuana smoking in the house, no marijuana smoking for the time she's up there. Nobody can come over and smoke marijuana, nothing like that. No boozing parties. She has a curfew. Unless she's out with mom or Brandon, she has a curfew at, let me think, 7 p.m. on weeknights and 8 p.m. on weekends, unless she's with Brandon or the mother.
Oh, good.
Or I'm just gonna say unless with family.
Or if family says she can't go out, right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Not to be left alone with the baby.
She would never be left alone with a baby in my
I'm just
my
telling you
head.
what the order is. I know.
She got that in her mind from Rodney. Rodney told her that she was going to be left with a baby, and now she's just carrying this with her.
Well, we're gonna put that in order, so that'll make her feel better too. Not to be left alone with the baby. Casa, Miss Mystic, y'all need anything else?
I would feel so much better if we had a background check on Brandon, her significant other, just because we don't know him, and that was
we did.
previously.
I
No,
think it's
there was a search through a website, but not a proper background check as far as.
The problem is we can't check people out of state in Texas. And Miss Darby did something. Miss Darby, work with your client on that, okay?
Okay.
And, I mean, we don't have one on the people and I mean, you want to say that, we don't have one on the people in North Carolina either, based upon some of the stuff that I heard. I mean, other than the ICPC doing it. So we're gonna go on a visit and then we're gonna stay on the visit and we'll regroup on the 6th. Call the people in North Carolina while she's up there. She can call the people in North Carolina while she's up
I don't
there.
have a problem with that.
Yeah, I mean, she doesn't need to talk to her father because he's been terminated, but, you know, she can call. But I do want the curfew, no other orders, Casa or Miss Mystic that y'all need? No, okay, there's the order.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So how is it being 18 years old, girl?
I'm scared.
You're scared? You're not scared?
Yes.
Well, good. I mean, scared is okay. So what'd you do about this?
I didn't get it.
How come?
They didn't accept PayPal.
Oh, darn. Don't you hate that?
Yeah.
You know, I'm just messing with you. And I think today is Raven's birthday too. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Happy birthday, Miss Torres.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Were you 18 like Allie is? I'm just teasing you.
Once upon a time, I
Y'all's
was.
Yeah, that's a great answer. Yeah, that's true. That's true. And look how she turned out. The rest of us, we were 18 once and we turned out okay, Allie.
Yeah.
So what's up with the swimming? Did we get that under control? What's up?
Well, I haven't really been going to like swimming places because of like appointments or stuff like this.
Okay. Okay. So that worked out that worked out the way we wanted it to, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What about, I mean, you know, August is coming around. August is here. September, school's coming up. Did we make another plan?
Yeah, I'm gonna work at Papados. I think full time
Okay. And just hold off on school for a while?
until spring.
Okay. Are you still thinking maybe vet tech stuff? Or what are you thinking?
Yeah, probably.
Yes, ma'am. Remember, we got to work on that. Work at the
Sorry,
restaurant.
yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. You got to do all that. Those people, those restaurants have been around forever and ever and ever. And they don't put up with a lot of garbage. Right? So when do you start over there?
I go to orientation today.
Okay. Did you quit American Eagle?
No, ma'am, not yet.
Okay.
Your Honor, may I just interrupt? Alizé, can you please sit up?
Yeah, you got to sit up. You're not. You can't lay down. Al, you got to sit up. You can't lay around. We're in court. We got to act. We got to act like we're in court. Are you going to wait and see how you do at orientation first?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Well, anything else that I need to know since we visited last week?
Not that I remember.
Okay. Anything you need from me today?
Could you put in some type of order for the swimming stuff?
Wasn't Miss Hanley going to get you that cream ointment stuff?
I'm not sure.
There's a cream that Miss Mystic had stated. I'll get that from CVS and see if that helps her.
What would you want me to say in the order? Because I mean, some days you're probably going to want to swim. Maybe
Just
so
non-frequent, non-frequent like exposure to swimming, like if they do something every day or every other day.
Okay. What if I just say swimming? Well, you're 18, you know, you can pretty much do what you want within, you know, their guidelines. I'll say swimming per Alizé. How about something like that? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What else?
I can't think of anything else right now.
Okay. Okay. Miss Torres, what do you need today?
Nothing, Your Honor. I think Alizé is doing really well. We've had a little couple questions this week that we're kind of considering, but otherwise she seems pretty on track. She's just really trying to sort out school and what that'll actually look like.
Right.
So I'm going to take some time out after leave and just kind of sit down with her and work through some ACC programs and what the deadlines like those look like. And then we'll proceed forward with school.
Yeah, I mean, we talked last week and she knows she's either going to be in school or doing, working. And, she says she really likes to work with animals. And so last week we thought, the ACC, Dory looked it up and thought the ACC vet tech program might be a really cool. It seemed like she had more interest in that than what she was registered for. So,
Yeah, absolutely. And I think more education is a better fit for Alizea than working full time right now, at least while she's still got that energy and motivation too.
Right.
So we'll discuss that and what that can look like while working and all that.
Okay. And she's a smart girl too. So, no reason not to take advantage of that.
Yes, ma'am. She sure is. Very proud of her.
Okay, Miss Hanley, anything else we need to add?
Your Honour, just to say that I am proud of her. She had stated yesterday she's not ready for adulthood. It's a little scary for her, but she's going to be fine. We have talked about ACC and the vet tech. She is excited about changing from retail. Although she's going over to Papados, it's still going to be a world of experience for her because she's going to actually be dealing with a different level of clientele. So that's going to help broaden her horizon. Just to say as well, she is going on a birthday overnight to a friend from Central Texas, Table of Grace. So she's looking forward to that.
Okay.
So she's
Dad, are you still talking to your dad, Alzay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we made arrangements for that, right? We took care of that, didn't we?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Okay. Miss Mystic?
Judge, I'm good. I'm very proud of her. I'm not ready for adulthood either, so I get it. Yeah. And I think, she's doing great.
Okay. Mr. Sturmer, you need anything?
I don't, Judge.
Okay. Okay, Allie, we're going to come back and go to court on 10/18. Okay. It's going to be a services review hearing, and I want to say swimming per the child or young lady and young adult. And that's all I got today. Y'all agree the next hearing y'all can be Zoom, right? Right.
Yes.
Okay. Well, happy late birthday again, and we'll see you in October. And I'm here if you need to talk to me before. Okay. Okay. See ya. Bye.
Bye, Alize.
Y'all, I don't have a CPS report, so I don't know anything. So, Mr. Sturmer, you may begin, please.
I'm sorry, who's going to be testifying for the department? Is that Ms. Moore?
Yes. Also, I have a quick comment. Jamari Johnson is a family member. I'm not sure if she's in the waiting room.
Somebody named Jamari is in the waiting room. Do we need her in the hearing or?
What's the purpose? Who is this person and why do we need her here?
So she is a family member who has expressed, and Kamari was placed with her before, and she has expressed interest in having Kamari placed with her.
Okay, I don't think we need her right this second, Judge. So
Excuse me?
I don't think we need her right this second.
Okay.
All right, Ms. Moore, I'm kind of in the dark on too. So what's going on right now that needs to be addressed?
There are no issues or anything regarding the case. Kamari is placed with the Dennis family in Ponder, Texas. She's doing well. They're addressing her needs. She is beginning some therapies in order to address some of her needs. She's getting ready to start school on the 14th of August. And there are no issues right now. As I stated before, there is a relative that's out of state that the department submitted an ICPC on who has expressed interest in having Kamari placed in her home.
Is that Miss Jamari you were talking about, ma'am?
Yes, that's correct.
Where does she live?
She's in North Carolina.
We just said that in the last case. Okay. Okay.
But you said earlier that this child was previously placed with her?
Yes, she lived in Texas before. before she moved over to North Carolina. And Kamari was placed with her before, and she sent her back to the department care.
What was the reason for that?
She just stated that she wasn't able to care for her anymore at that time.
She didn't express any reasoning behind that?
No, she just stated that she wasn't able to care for her anymore.
Okay, so what's the change in her thought process at this point?
So I think that, I mean, she says that she wants to have her she wants her to be placed with her, and she wants to care for her. Now, she did have a virtual visit with Kamari on yesterday, and I think that she's kind of torn whether or not she wants her placed with her. Like, she is torn whether or not she wants Kamari to stay with the current family and allow them to adopt and just still be involved.
Yes.
Okay, so this is obviously a little bit of an issue. We don't typically place children. That placement breaks down, then we replace children back with them because of the cycle and the pattern that could happen. So have you discussed with her that issue and if she's on board that she needs to be 2 full feet in and not 1 foot in, 1 foot out?
So I haven't discussed with her that just yet, because she did express interest, and then just on yesterday, she is torn whether or not she is able to.
Okay, well, what's the status on the current placement?
The current placement, they're interested in adoption. They're adoption motivated, and I mean, that's where we are. They're already licensed, and they take really good care of Kamari, and she's thriving there.
Okay, so at this time, we don't need to do anything as far as changing placement, correct?
No, not at this time, no.
Okay, well, between now and the next hearing, we need to figure out whether this relative is committed or not. But right now, it seems to me that it's kind of a no issue deal right now, because we're not placing a child back with somebody that's already, asked the child to be placed back in CPS custody, and then there's kind of wishy-washy now. I mean, that's just not what we do. So they are, so that we can discuss that at the next hearing. That's all I have, Judge.
Okay, Miss Mystic, any questions? Miss Moore?
I have no questions.
Okay. Is the lady that says foster parent on the screen, is that Kamari's foster mom?
Yes, and if at all possible, my other hearing's going to start. So I would like to be able to let her unmute and let you know what the issue is that's going on. And I think she can enlighten us because she had a good conversation. I'm making sure I'm muted on this. Anyway, Miss Dennis, can you unmute?
Okay.
All right. So Kamari is with them. They're interested in adoption. She had a really good conversation with Jamari yesterday. Briefly, if we'll just open it up. Y'all had a good talk, and kind of just tell us what you two talked about.
She primarily caught me at the end of the Zoom, and she asked if we were interested in adopting Kamari. I said yes. And then I looked at her. She kind of got teary-eyed, and I said, "Are you interested?" And she said yes, but she had explained that she had previously had her and then, surrendered her. So I said, well, we want what's best in the best interest of the child. She said that is what she wants too. But she said one thing she asked us was because she's technically being called another name that was, I guess, brought on by the other caretaker. So I told her we would call her Kamari from now on. And then she also asked if we adopted her, would she be able to have, like calls and maybe visit because, her being out of state. And I said, yes, we would be open to that. We're not asking her, because she's family. But she understands that we're taking good care of her. She can see that she has all of her needs met and that she is thriving here. So all the issues of the behaviors and everything that was at the other foster home have been dealt with here. And we have her ongoing with behavior sessions and getting her the physical therapy, the occupational therapy, everything that she needs.
So I'm going to stop you right there. So you have an issue where it has been recommended that she see a neurologist. Is that right?
Correct.
Your pediatrician did a referral.
The pediatrician referred us to an ortho. The orthopedic who saw her saw there were no physical indications that her right foot that drags was anything orthopedic related as far as her hips and whatnot. She said we need to go see a neurologist.
Okay. And you cannot find a neurologist under Superior where you are. Is that right?
We can find a neurologist. But the answer I get, and I've been doing it for 2 months now, is they're either out of network or they will not take her because she's autistic. Those are the 2 reasons.
You have found a place. Oh, sorry.
Hold on. Miss Anderson here
Yes.
with Superior. And have y'all hooked up with Miss Anderson?
No, I just got this info from Miss Dennis. And so I was so happy Miss Anderson was on and didn't know if the place she wants to take her, she called to get the info about, like, if you paid out of pocket and the department pays like $400. But I think what we need to do is hook up.
Miss Anderson, can Miss Dennis call you?
So what I can do is have a service coordinator. I'm not an actual service coordinator, so they have a lot more information about providers, and I can have somebody call you and find you somebody nearby that can see her.
I have done that.
Okay.
I have waited. They've called me back and I still do not have, because they'll say it took them a month to call me back and I still do not have a provider.
Okay. So who told you? Superior told you?
Superior. I called and I believe the girl was Vanessa or something like that. And then like I said, they've never called me back and provided me with a provider.
Okay. It usually goes a lot better from me because it's with the judicial program. So when they see that little note in there, they usually get on it pretty quickly. I will check on it periodically and make sure that they have made contact with you. And if they don't, I will send it again.
Okay. And then it also needs to be preferably a pediatric. And the one place that I had provided.
Miss Dennis, hold on just a second. I don't want y'all to talk. We're on Zoom. I mean, YouTube. So I don't want you to talk about that on here. Miss Anderson, Miss Dennis, do you know how to do the chat?
Yes.
Okay. Miss Anderson, can you put your contact stuff in the chat so Miss Dennis can get that?
Absolutely.
And y'all can visit when we're not, everybody in the world isn't listening to us.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, but hold on. She's going to put it in the chat. Okay. Well, here's what I'm going to order. 2 things. I mean, department already asked for an ICPC on the lady in North Carolina, so I'll follow through with that. I'm going to say placement as agreed by CPS and attorney ad litem. So I think I know how that would go. Also, I'm going to say CPS Superior arrange PD neurologist within 2 weeks. Okay. Miss Dennis, keep up with Miss Mystic, and I know Miss Anderson will stay on it too, and make sure that we get that done. Miss Moore, you also. I want to come back for another hearing in 3 months on 11/1, so we kind of see how Kamari's doing and make sure we got this follow up with the doctor and all that kind of stuff. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Miss Dennis, do you see Miss Anderson's chat?
Yes.
Okay. Yay. Well, I got to tell you, Miss Anderson, if this makes you feel any better, we had a judicial deal meeting last week, and the lady over, I don't know, she's head of Superior. I don't know what her job is, but she came and she talked about how Miss Anderson and some of the other folks are coming to the courts. And I stood up and I said, they're the bomb. Everybody needs to take it, because some of the judges aren't responding to Superior, which is stupid. But anyway, I said, y'all need to let Superior come in, be involved. They've been so much help for our ad litems and our CASAs and our CPS folks. So you better stay on her. And Miss Anderson better not make me have egg on my face from what I said in a whole room full of judges last week. Okay.
Thank you, Judge. I promise I won't let you down.
I know, but I'm just going to put it on the screen. Okay. So Miss Dennis, there, I stuck my neck out. So just let's do it. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, I think we can. Where do y'all live? I don't have reports. Where do y'all live?
Ponder.
Give me some help.
It's by Denton.
Okay. Well, you think that we could find somebody? I mean, heck, I live more out in the country than you do, but I can find a PD neurologist in Austin, so surely you can up there, or they can help. That'll be good.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there's the orders. Anybody need anything else? I got a picture of her by the swimming pool. She's precious. Okay, well, they're the orders. Ms. Dennis, thank you for coming on. Miss Anderson, yeah. Ms. Moore, thank you for the report, and I'll see y'all on November 1st. Everybody agree that y'all can appear via
Judge, I'd
Zoom?
briefly like to call Brooklyn Gilmore. Ms. Gilmore, can you state your full name, please?
Brooklyn Gilmore.
You're the caseworker for the department, correct?
I am.
Is there anything going on with this case that's not included in your report?
No, everything's going pretty decently well. I think everything that is in the court report is pretty up to date.
Okay. So just from reading about the mother's services, it seems like she's involved with the child's care to an extent, but what's the department's position on returning a child to her potentially in the future when she does not have a stable residence?
Yeah, right now I've been trying to work with her on getting a plan in regards of housing, because I think everybody's on the same page that where she currently is not in the best interest for Anna. But I last time I was supposed to see her, I was out for the week, and so I didn't get to go with her or go over the plan that I had asked her to make. But I have given her resources in regards of housing, such as low income housing, the housing authority, things that could maybe assist her in going in the right direction, but it doesn't seem like we've gotten there yet.
Well, with the child like this, who's got lots of diagnosis and, issues, correct me if I'm wrong, but she needs stability, right?
Definitely.
And bouncing around from Airbnbs and extended stay hotels is not stability. Would you agree?
I would agree.
Okay. That's all I have, Judge.
Ms. McClure, Ms. Missick, any questions?
Not at this time, Judge.
Okay. Next witness, Mr. Sturmer.
I don't have any witnesses, Judge, and I don't think the department has any recommendations today, or I don't have any more witnesses. I just kind of wanted to put that little bit out there about the placement or the housing stability issue.
Miss Gilmore, what are we doing about counseling therapy? She's on a bunch of meds, she's got a bunch of G charges. What's up with all that stuff?
So therapy occurs 2 times weekly. I just talked to her case manager over there actually to incorporate family therapy. And so we're trying to coordinate that as well. I just emailed her back to see when we can coordinate that, when that's appropriate. In regards of her charges, she we went to court and then it got reset. I believe I'd have to look back to see what the actual date is. But that's what's going on in regards of therapy, and she's in an RTC getting her medication needs met. And seems like it's going decently well.
Why is the department being resistant to CASA's efforts for the ABA training and some more of those things that's in Ms. Hill's report about the disability specialist with the department in the region not being able to talk with CASA? What's up with all that? Do you know?
So the ABA therapy, I called multiple places in their area. I actually called, there was a place that I got her on a waiting list, but then they called me back and said that she was too far away. And then I called another place, and then they didn't, at that time, they didn't have the service yet that they needed for her. And then I also had an issue that they won't see people or children over the age of 10. And in regards of the ABA therapy, like the resistance, it's not any resistance. It's just there's a difficulty when it comes to like funding, contracting, with ABA therapy. And that's the problem we're coming across.
Well, if I tell them to do it under a special contract, I guess I have to do it. What about what's the status of her juvenile stuff? Because I saw she has a new charge.
We went to court for that, I believe, in the beginning of June or May, or it was in May or June, and it got reset. So that's all pending right now.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Your Honor, may I speak on that?
Yes, ma'am.
We did get an email requesting verification of her RTC placement. And my understanding is once that was received, which it was this last week, Ms. Jacinta sent it, then those were going to be dropped, my understanding.
Okay. I'm going back to thank you, Ms. Gilmore. Also, what about the the disability therapist with the department not being able to speak with CASA? I don't like that. You know anything about that?
That's the first I've heard about that. I haven't heard of that. That's the first. That's new to me.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Ms. McClure, what do y'all need?
If I could just ask my client a couple of questions so she can explain the housing situation.
Okay.
Go ahead and explain what's going on with that.
Well, I did apply for housing and everything like that in Section 8. But my dad did say he would help me out if I needed like housing with like Airbnb or something like along those lines, if that would help.
Okay, but you just heard the discussion about how that's not really a long-term stable thing. Are you willing to go ahead and look into some Section 8 housing or something that you could do without his help?
I need to get a job first before I can do all that.
Well, I think you probably need to go down and talk to the people down there first and know for sure what is required before you do anything else.
Okay.
So will you commit to getting that done within the next couple of weeks?
Yes.
Okay. So you're going to commit to going down there. You're going to find out what needs to be done. And if that is something you can do, will you commit to doing that?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. That's all I have, Judge.
Okay. Thank you. Ms. Hill, tell me what's going on. Tell me what the difficulties you're having.
We have requested to speak with a disability specialist because we haven't had any luck getting her evaluated for HCS or any of the waiver services. I don't know where she is on Social Security still. That's a concern of mine. She's autistic, and the services that she's being provided at placement are not appropriate. The facility case manager has told me they've never worked with an autistic teenager before. They're confused by her behavior. They don't know how to discipline her. She's alienated from her fellow placements. She's got a room to herself because of some of her medical issues and her behavior. She's not a bad kid. She just doesn't understand social norms, and she needs autistic specialized therapy. Mom needs therapy as well to help understand how not to trigger her. And I secured a therapist who is willing to do the service with mom for free. I just need the department on board. I also found a therapist that was willing to work with them in contract, but there's been no movement. I don't think Ms. Gilmore has the power to do that herself, but we haven't been able to connect to who can. So I feel like my hands are tied. I also feel like we're just moving her along and nothing's actually happening. She is going to therapy. The therapy notes don't show that she's really making any progress. The case manager has told me she's not making progress. Whenever there is an incident, we're right back to square one, and she still has all of the behaviors that put her there. She needs a different placement.
Yeah.
I did find a possible program called the RTC project. I'm still waiting for some information back from the local LIDA through Central County Services. And I haven't even brought this up to mom yet because I wanted to make sure that I had the information, but I did not get it before court. They have a program where they can potentially help her find a more appropriate RTC placement, and they would be able to help relocate mom and help her find housing near where Anna is to make sure that she can participate in the therapy. I don't know if that program will work for her, but I am working on it.
I'm going to do some orders. I think that will be good. Thank you. Anybody have any questions, Ms. Hill? Okay. Ms. Mystic?
Judge, I just support what Megan is requesting with this kiddo. I know that it's hard with teenagers finding places, and I want to commend her and what she's doing to look for places. So, but if we're not addressing what we really need to address, then there's no reason for us to be involved. And
right.
So,
Okay, here's what I'm gonna order. And Miss Adamas, you have a service plan, you have to comply, your parental rights could be subject to termination. Mr. Cornett's not here. I read the reports, he wants to terminate his parental rights. Not gonna be an option as far as I'm concerned, or at least that's the way I feel right now. Miss Jennifer is to roll in therapy is set up by CASA within 2 weeks. I don't know why we can't get that going. CPS is to enroll the child into ABA therapy within 2 weeks. If we need a special contract for that, that's fine. But don't think that the RTC where she's at is addressing her needs. So we need, department needs to look into a new placement for, autistic children and get with Miss Hill and Miss Mystic on that. Yeah, things just sort of seem stagnant. I don't know if these therapies Miss Anderson here can help you with, but Miss Hill, somewhere in the chat, I don't know if it's still there, was Miss Anderson's email. It is there. Why don't you look that up and maybe just give her a call. Maybe she can help, or I don't know. Miss Anderson, is this anything y'all can help with?
So I cannot find an active chart for her. Do you know if is she in TMC?
Yes.
Okay, so give me a date of birth.
I don't want to do somebody email Miss Anderson
or put it or put it in the chat or whatever, or however you want to do it. But I haven't been able to find an active chart yet.
Okay. Miss Hill, can you hook up with Miss Anderson, take care of some of that for me?
I can. Unfortunately, my chat is blank. I don't have hers. So if Miss Sarah, can you get it and you'll send it to me?
Yes,
Thank you.
I'll get it.
I'm doing it. Oh, okay. Y'all got it.
Okay. See what y'all can do. Next hearing is 11/1. We might need to have a hearing before that. But I'm going to leave that up to CASA and Miss Mystic. Y'all talk and see what we can figure out. And with Miss Anderson being able to look her up in the system and stuff, maybe we can nip another hearing in the bud. But anyway, I don't know. I don't want to set one until I know that it's absolutely. Ms. Sherman, you may begin, please.
Judge, I'd like to call Raven Torres.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Torres, can you state your full name, please?
Raven Torres?
Is there anything going on with this case that's not included in your report?
Nothing major has happened since the filing of my report. I would just like to reiterate our request for a third-party supervisor with visitation. And in terms of parent progress, they have also begun intensive outpatient programs on their own accord.
What's the reasoning for needing a third party to supervise?
Visits are currently weekly and they are progressing in terms of their service plans, the parents. So we are looking towards an increase in visitation, and with school coming up and staffing issues at the department, it is becoming increasingly difficult to schedule 3-hour visits supervised by the department. We have approved respite that has been considered as supervisors.
Okay, so we already have the supervisors lined up.
Yeah, so we were just awaiting approval from Ms. Dory Mystic.
Okay. Anything else? Your report said that you were asking for the parents to be able to have up to 2 hours supervised visits, but you just said 3 hours a second ago.
The parents are currently visiting on a 2-hour schedule at this time. We are requesting, should the visits be increased to 3 hours, that it be supervised by the third party.
Okay. That's all I have, Judge.
Okay. Anybody have any questions, Ms. Torres?
Yes, Judge, just briefly.
Okay.
Ms. Torres, is my client, Ms. Phillip, is she in compliance with her service plan?
Yes, ma'am, she is.
And has she been communicative with you about her her pursuit of services that are in addition to her service plan?
Yes, she has.
All right. Have you been able to meet with her sponsor?
I have not. She did provide me with her contact information last week, and I informed Ms. Phillip yesterday that I would be in touch with her sponsor to add her to the case as a support.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Anybody else? Okay, thank you. Ms. Torres, did you get word? You maybe said this and I just went over my head, that Mr. Phillips started his intensive outpatient?
Yes, ma'am. He has begun IOP.
Okay, good. Okay. Because we just had the hair was positive, but That's about right, going back that far. Okay, thank you. Ms. Sherman, no more witnesses?
No, ma'am.
Okay, Ms. Wheeler, any witnesses?
Judge, if you would like to hear from my client, I can certainly call her. I think, as Raven just said, she's doing fantastic. We obviously want to move as quickly as possible towards a monitored return. I
know the parents aren't living together, but are they together as a couple or
yes, Judge. So the situation was that the father moved out of the marital residence and in with his pastor and his family.
Right.
Mom has maintained the marital residence. Dad is providing for that residence financially, and mom is also working. So they're very much still a couple. They are taking this opportunity to, in the slowest and healthiest way possible, rebuild their marriage in a way that is supportive of recovery. So they're very much married. They intend to stay married. They intend to, have these girls have both their parents. They're just currently living separately, probably in one of the smartest moves I've ever seen a married couple with substance abuse issues make.
So hypothetically, if mom's doing really well, dad's just started his IOP. So, Ms. Wheeler, is your plan for the girls to go back with mom first and then integrate Mr. Phillip back into the family that way? Is that what you're thinking? Or are you thinking them both together at the same time?
Well, Judge, I think at the start of this case, we didn't really have an idea for the timeline that the parents would be on. I think we probably anticipated that they would be more neck and neck at this point than maybe they are. Now, if we need to maintain the separateness and keep doing what we're doing, then absolutely. I would like to see the children back in their own family home with their mother as quickly as possible. And she understands completely the safety issues and the rule following more than anything. So if we had to have parameters in place while dad finds the next gear, we're happy to explore that and be subject to the orders of the court. But, I've explained to my client, you guys are married, you're still together, even though you live together, you pass together or you fail together. So she understands that as well.
Yeah, because, I got to say, I'm a little hesitant. I'm not going to do a monitor return today, obviously, but saying I'm a little hesitant to do a monitor return and have that 6 weeks going 6 months, until I know that dad, I don't want to do 5 months with mom and on my return and the dad get good the last month and then dad's there and then we're back to where we are. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, Judge, absolutely. And I didn't mean to ask, I wasn't trying to make an oral motion for monitored return today. I wanted to paint the picture.
I'm saying, I want everybody like you said, I want everybody to be neck and neck and get on the same path. Not that I would be opposed to the girls going I just might not call it a monitored return until I knew that dad was ready to come in the home and everybody co-parent together,
Absolutely, Judge.
So, Ms. Cummings, you heard that. So that's kind of, it's kind of hard to do a monitor return to one parent when both parents are going to be in the home, and both parents had the issues.
Your Honor, we understand we were not expecting a monitor return today.
No, I know, but even when we get
breather.
to that point, I'm just, y'all know how I'm feeling and just be putting that in your head. Okay. Okay. Ms. Cummings, any witnesses?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Let's see. I forgot who the CASA person was. Let's see. Ms. Harris, anything?
Ms. Harris is having trouble with her video, Your Honor, so I'll speak for CASA if that's okay.
Okay.
The children are doing really good in their placement. We're very happy with it. We do hope that they'll get to do some activities this fall. I know that's in the works already. The one thing they have been trying to get therapy, but it's been not consistent. We do think that is very important for the girls to have.
What do you mean not consistent? What's the problem with that?
The therapist had some kind of conflict. Ms. Tina can probably speak better on that than I can. So we just wanted it to become a little more regular. I think some of that was due to summer and things like that, but with the fall coming up.
Grandparents are good, Miss Beatty?
They're wonderful.
Okay, thank you. Miss Mystic?
Judge, I'm good. I sent you pictures and I missed that email. Y'all text me if I don't answer an email right away. I know I'm in agreement with letting respite supervised.
Okay, yeah, I don't have a problem as long as, I'm just gonna say visits increase and supervision is agreed by CPS and Atlanta. If y'all are good, I'm good. Sounds like we're getting on the right track. Everybody's doing what they need to do. I'm gonna say girls into consistent therapy within 2 weeks, set up by CPS. Our next hearing is 11/1/23. Parents, y'all know you have service plans. Y'all are on it, you know. y'all know kind of where I'm thinking and where I hope we'll be going pretty soon. Our next hearing, like I said, is 11/1. Maybe we'll be ready for the girls to go live with mom then. I don't know. Dad will be hopefully well into his IOP by then, and you know, we'll just see where we're at. Y'all have service plans, you got to comply. Your parental rights be subject to termination. Y'all know what you got to do, and you know, I anticipate that we will be on the right track long before we get to the in this case. Okay. Work well with the grandparents. We're lucky we have you. I mean, I looked at all the people that would be respite, would be supervisors. You know, y'all probably got the most amount of people I have on any case. So don't be making them mad. Don't, you know, be doing the right thing, and you know, don't be making us have to do supervision by the department. You know, that's gross. So just keep doing what y'all are doing, and I'll see y'all on November 1st. Good work.
Your Honor, may I request one thing, one order?
Yes,
I have discussed this at length with the parents. There is still an outstanding concern, a safety concern in the home regarding the garage. The department was informed earlier in the case that one of the parents had found illicit substances that were not seized during the beginning. And so I'm just requesting that garage be cleaned and maintained before we start to consider any contact in the home with the girls.
Okay. Y'all work on cleaning out your garage. Probably need to clean out your garage anyway, it sounds like. Yeah, that'd be good.
I'll have my client get on that. I'm pretty sure she's gone over that whole house with a toothbrush anyways, because I explained to her how drugs can be transferred transdermally. So
okay,
she'll get on it.
Yeah. Well, might be kind of hot now, but you know, maybe when it cools off a little bit, that's a project I need to do too. Not for those same reasons, but and doing well. So let's look. This is our second permanency hearing. So Mr. Sturmer, I'm happy to hear from you.
I don't think the department needs anything today, Judge. Everything's going pretty well.
Okay. Ms. Cummings, y'all good?
Your Honor, yes, and I have filed everything we need for the reinstatement, and I'm working on preparing an agreed order for everyone to sign, because I'm pretty sure we're all still in agreement to reinstate mom's parental rights at this time. And I just figured it'd be easier just to have an agreed order for you.
That'll be the first one I've signed, been involved in, so that's good. Believe it or not. Yeah, I think that's the first one I've done.
Once I get that order prepared, because there's not a whole lot of templates out there in the world for it, so.
No. Contact the managing attorney at the San Antonio PS unit or whatever they're called. His name is Drake McKeska. He's done some, and him and another judge I spoke at Advanced Family Law last year about it. He might have some forms that he's used in the past. I don't remember if they were the ones that were seeking the reinstatement or somebody, but they form for Drake McKeska, managing attorney, Bexar County. I mean, you know, that Region 8, I think it is. He's a nice guy.
A DFPS attorney or a county attorney?
He's a managing. I don't know what you call him. Is it managing attorney for that region? Yeah, he's DFPS.
Yeah, that'll make him easier to find if he's DFPS attorney.
Yeah, he's speaking at my legislative update that people need to sign up for.
Yes, ma'am.
Just saying. Got to be registered to win. Got to play to win. So not registered, you snooze, you lose. Free CLE. Okay. Now, Miss Gustafson. Oh yeah, Dad's been terminated. You represent the former caregiver, so you're taken care of too.
Yes.
Okay. Casa, what y'all good with everything? Good with Miss where's Miss Fuller? There you are. Miss Dimitri, you good with everything?
Yes, ma'am. I apologize, Your Honor. Yes, I'm good with everything. Thank you.
Okay. Miss Mystic.
I'm good. I'm with Michelle. This is the first I'm just thrilled that this is working out. Mom is on it. I mean, appointments set up, everything she needs to be doing. Sent you pictures. She's adorable, of course. Yeah. So
I love the one out in the country with the horse in the background. That's really
Yeah,
cute.
it's the
It's
caregivers.
a happy
Right.
little girl.
Yep.
Smiley, smiley.
Yes,
Judge,
ma'am.
can I just ask one thing from Ms. Gustafson? Is your client going to sign a relinquishment, or you talked to her about that?
Well, the last two conversations I have had with her have basically been, I can't do anything anymore, and I don't know why you keep calling me. So
I remember that was kind of her attitude whenever she was here.
and I will
Totally
attempt
get it.
to explain to her that we do need her to sign something relinquishing her rights. And we'll take it to her if she will allow me at her house. So, but, her health was really decreasing. And so I will attempt to do that and let you know.
Sounds good. Judge, the department did request to move the final trial up. If we can get it on another day before November 1st, I believe is when we're set. If we can move it to October or something like that, we would appreciate that.
Okay. Has Ms. Moore been served, Mr. Sherman? Yes.
Excuse me.
Ms. Moore, has she been
She
served?
appeared. She appeared.
Okay, because I was just thinking termination, default if she doesn't, if Mrs. Thompson can't get her to sign papers.
She was at the initial hearing, Your Honor.
Yeah, I don't have listed that she didn't appear, so that's good. Okay, let me look at court dates.
10-4 would be fine.
10-4.
If that works for everybody else.
Okay. Okay, yay. Good news. We're gonna get ready done quick. Okay, Miss Cummings, you'll get that agreed order reinstating, right?
Yes, Your Honor. I'm going to get it circulated, hopefully by the end of today.
Okay. Well, Ms. Childers, you're not a parent right now, but you got to comply, blah, 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 all that. Okay, our final trials moved up till 10-4, and yeah, she's a cute little thing.
First permanency
See y'all
hearing,
on
got
October 4th.
lots of things going on. So Ms. Sturmer, I'm just gonna let you begin, please.
Judge, I'd like to call Marquita Austin.
Okay, thank you.
Ma'am, can you state your full name, please?
Marquita Austin.
You're the caseworker for the department, is that correct?
That is correct.
Can you just remind us where each of these children are placed?
Sure. Alexander is placed with his paternal grandmother, Miss Sweeney, and Athena is placed with Heather Hyman. She is a fictive kin, and Aaliyah is placed with her paternal grandmother, Miss Mary Rivas.
Okay, everything going okay with those placements?
Everything is going great with all of the placements.
Okay. As for the mother, I know there's still quite a few issues with her and not completing services and positive tests and missed tests. Is there anything that you need to touch on that's not in your report?
Everything that's stated in the report is accurate up to date.
Okay, and then as for Mr. Prince, the father of Aaliyah, he's not started any services, is that correct?
He has not, that's correct.
And then Mr. Jeremy Oder, who is the father of Athena, he's incarcerated, so he's also not worked services, is that correct?
That is correct.
And then lastly, Anthony Sweeney, he's, according to your report, has been in contact with you and has cooperated with what you've asked of him. Is that correct?
That's correct. He's up to date on the required services.
Okay. And he just came back to Texas. He was living somewhere else. Is that right?
Yes, he relocated to Texas.
And where is he at now?
He's in Abilene.
Okay. And he has his own place?
He does. He just secured and got his keys this week.
Okay. Have you been out there to check it out?
I have not as of yet. We're trying to schedule something for either this weekend or next week early.
Okay. Will it be you that actually goes out there, or will you get like a courtesy to go look at it?
I'm going to go.
Okay. Assuming his home, checks out and there's no issues, is the department ready to place his child back in his home on a monitor return?
Yes, that is what we are requesting today.
Okay, but you just need time to go view the home and make sure it's safe before you, before the placement changes. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And he understands that and he's on board with your plan?
Yes.
Anything else that you need to make the court aware of at this time?
Not at this time.
I'll pass the witness.
Anybody have any questions, Miss Austin?
I do.
Yes, ma'am.
Miss Austin, on some of these missed drug tests for Miss Locker, did she relay to you that she did not have transportation to make it to the drug test?
She did not.
So she did not discuss with you that there was family members that were in the hospital and she did not have her ride to get her to the drug test?
She did not express to me that she ever had an issue with transportation. She has expressed that there have been family members in the hospital, but she did not disclose that that was hindering her from getting transportation to the testing site.
And the issue with Dr. Daheim, she was discharged from having her psychological evaluation done. Has she discussed with you whether or not that could be something that was reinstated?
She has not discussed that was something that could be reinstated. What she discussed was that she wanted to secure her own provider to complete her psychological, and that she was requesting to obtain that on her own.
Okay. Is it possible for you to have that service reinstated if that was ordered today?
Yes.
And then would it be possible as well to have her therapy reinstated if that was ordered today?
She can always have the option to have her services reinstated. She would have to be located in Texas. As of right now, she is not. And she's also just discussed with me that she has obtained her own service provider as it relates to therapy.
Okay, I'll pass the witness.
Excuse me. Anybody else have any questions of Miss Austin?
Yes, Judge, just briefly.
Yes, ma'am.
Miss Austin, sorry, I know you can't see me. I'm Courtney. I'm the attorney for Mr. Oder, who's in jail. Have you had any contact with him?
I have scheduled visitations or coordinated visitation between him and his courtesy worker, Ms. Christy Williams. So he was seen on the 27th of this month and on the 22nd of June. So there's been contact on behalf of the department with Mr. Oder.
Okay, and have you guys provided him with a packet of services he can do while he's still in jail?
Well, he already had the parenting package, so to answer your question, yes. And then he's also involved with the Overcomers program as well.
And you guys have been following his progress in that?
Yes.
So he is doing services. He's just not able to do the full battery that y'all would have him do were he liberated.
Correct. He is engaged in services in the current facility. He's just not able to participate in his entire family plan at this time.
Okay, but he's compliant to the extent he's capable.
Correct.
All right, thank you. No further questions.
Anybody else? Miss Mystic, any questions?
No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Next witness, Mr. Sturmer.
I don't have any other witnesses, Judge.
Okay, Ms. Gustafson, any witnesses?
Yes, I'd like to call Tyler Locker.
Thank you.
Miss Locker, can
Yes.
you?
Gustafson, she's sitting on a bed.
Yes, I am. I'm in a enclosed room.
You need to sit like in a chair at a table. You're in court. You can't sit on a bed.
Okay, yes, ma'am. I'm sorry.
And are you still located out of the state of Texas?
Yes, I will be back on Monday.
Okay, and where is it that you're located?
I'm located in Indiana with my mom at the moment.
And why are you in Indiana?
My mom's fiance is my mom's boyfriend's dad is in the ICU right now. So they're in between wanting to pull the plug on him or not, but we're coming back on Monday.
And is that the reason why you left the state of Texas?
Yes, ma'am.
And how long have you been gone?
I've only been gone a week.
And you have missed drug tests back longer than that. Why did you miss those drug tests?
Those were due to me not having transportation. Like my grandmother, she was in and out of the hospital due to her having cancer. And also my brother-in-law, Kyle, he recently just got a job where he works in Hiker Heights and he has the vehicle. So I don't really have the transportation to get to and from Killeen.
Did you discuss any of that with your caseworker?
I've told her on multiple occasions that I did not have, reliable transportation on, and if she can switch me to Cove, but they said that Cove doesn't do drug testing anymore because it's going to be harder for me to make it to Colleen knowing that I don't have a reliable transportation. I don't have a driver's license, so I can't drive myself.
Now, you missed and was discharged from Dr. Daheim doing your psychological evaluation. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you did discuss with Miss Austin the possibility of arranging that on your own. Is that right?
Yes, I was asking for a possibility of doing it on my own, but since that at the moment that I no longer have insurance, I would like for it to be restated through them. That way I can get it done.
And when you also attempted to schedule it, wasn't it going to take at least 3 to 4 months before you could get an appointment?
Yes, they told me that it was going to take till September 15th in order for me to actually see somebody.
So are you asking the judge to reinstate your ability to have your psychological evaluation scheduled through the department?
Yes, please.
And you do understand that if the judge were to do that, that you would have to make that appointment to the doctor's office because you are wasting his time if you do not go to that appointment.
Yes, ma'am.
And so that would be something that would be extremely important for you to find a way to be there no matter what. You understand that?
Yes, ma'am, I will.
And are you also asking for her to reinstate your therapy with a counselor?
Yes, please.
And you also understand that, again, if you do not make those therapy appointments, you are wasting those professionals' valuable time. You understand that, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And so today, are you asking the judge to please reinstate those 2 services for you?
Yes, please.
And at this point, are you going to try to establish some sort of reliable way to get to your drug test?
Yes, ma'am. If I have to, I could figure out how the hot bus works and figure out their routes if that's a possibility.
And from this point forward, you do understand that you need to contact your caseworker every time that you're not able to do that. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Anybody have any questions of Ms. Locker?
No.
Ms. Locker, y'all can find transportation to go out of state, but you can't find it to go to locally to do a drug test. I don't really get that.
My transportation was with my mom, and my mom works from, 8 o'clock in the morning till 4:30 in the afternoon. But my mom got off of work. That way she can come here to be with her boyfriend's dad while he's on his deathbed.
Well, according to the CPS report, there's people that live in your house. They can't drive you. They can't take you.
No, Kyle, he has a vehicle, but he just got a job in Hiker Heights, so he takes the vehicle with him.
Okay.
And I don't have a driver's license, so I can't drive myself.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Anybody else? Okay, thank you. Any more witnesses, Ms. Gustafson?
No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Ms. San Miguel, any witnesses? Ms. San Miguel, any witnesses? No. Okay, Ms. McClure.
Yes, Judge, I'd like for Mr. Sweeney to unmute himself so I can just ask a couple of questions because we need to, if the court's going to order a monitored return, we need to talk about the child support, and we need to kind of talk about it anyway because I think mom's still getting current child support. So we need to deal with that issue.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Sweeney.
Yes.
I know you don't have an exact number. What's the approximate number of the amount of arrears that you think you owe right now?
If I had to guess, I would say maybe 1,500, maybe 2,000.
Okay, so can you look that up and get that information to me sometime either late this week or early next week?
I can get it for you today because I'm off today. I can call the Attorney General's office.
Well, aren't you the optimistic one that you can get it done in a day? Because nobody else can do it in a day. But good luck with that.
I'll try.
Your Honor, I guess what I would ask is that if the court is inclined to grant a monitored return after his home is approved, if it's approved, I would ask that all current child support stop to mom. I understand there will need to be some money continuing to her to make up for the arrearages, but we need to put some of that money back in his pocket since he hopefully will have this child back in his home very soon.
Well, it was supposedly previously redirected to his mother, and I'm sure she hasn't gotten any of that, correct?
I think that's correct.
As far as I know from what she's told me, she has not received any.
She's shaking her head no, so.
Ms. McClure, I need your client to find out, where the current child support's been going, all that, because if the mother's been receiving the child support and not giving it to Miss Sweeney grandma, and she has the kids, that's not good. And so we need to kind of get a take on that. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. I will find all that out and I will send an email around to everybody once I get all that information. And I guess we'll just go from there.
Okay. But yes, and when we do the monitor return, somebody can send me order around saying it ceases at that time too.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Wheeler, anything?
No, Judge.
Okay, thank you. Miss Mouton had to get out. I'm trying to see where she is, so let her back in. Okay, thank you. Okay, Miss King with CASA, is she here? There you are. Miss King, do you need anything that's not in your report?
That's probably not in the report, other than last Friday, I went out and I visited with Alex. And he had just seen his dad, and I just want to throw out there, he could not say enough great things about the time he'd spent with his dad and Miss Norma, his dad's fiance. So it seems like a very positive placement.
Okay. And he has a job and everything in Abilene, correct?
Correct. That's our understanding, that both Anthony Sweeney and his fiance, Miss Norma, have jobs and they've secured housing.
Okay.
Your Honor, may I speak on that?
Yes, ma'am, Ms. Beatty.
So I have been in contact with Mr. Sweeney. In fact, I did a video with him this morning. I've seen the apartment. They just got the keys yesterday, so it wasn't fully furnished or any of that. But it does have adequate room for Alex. And there's an elementary school just down the road. He would be having to change elementary schools if he stayed in Cove. So it is CASA's hope that we can get him there before the new school year so he doesn't have to change schools twice.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, because he's 6 and, it's kind of a, you don't want to pop in.
And he's got an IEP, and so that's going to take time in both the schools. So we do feel it's best to just do one change.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Miss Mystic, anything?
I'm good with monitored return to Mr. Sweeney once the house is approved, and other placements. Kiddos are doing great. And I sent you pictures. The sibling visits are good, which is sometimes very difficult when you have 3 different placements. So I was pleased to do that.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm good.
They're very cute kids. Okay, everybody, here's what I'm going to order today. Parents, y'all have service plans. You have to comply. Your parental rights can be subject to termination. I'm going to change some of our court dates, kind of bump it back a little bit. Our next permanency hearing is going to be on 10/18, not October 14th. And I'm going to move the trial from 1/3 to 1/17, just to give everybody a little bit more time. I'm going to order no visits for Miss Locker until she has 3 clean consecutive UAs. Her services can be reinstated at that time after she has the 3 clean consecutive UAs. And she also needs to be service plan compliant before her visits begin also. No visits for Mr. Prince until he has 3 clean consecutive UAs and is also service plan compliant. I do not have Ms. Locker's application for court appointed attorney that I can find. If I miss it, if I'm wrong, Ms. Gustafson, tell me. She needs to have that to the court by 8/9/23 or Ms. Gustafson will be released. I'm going to say monitor return to Mr. Sweeney as agreed by CPS and EdLabs. Okay. And y'all previously agreed that the hearings could be held via Zoom. So let me make sure everything else is taken care of. Okay, well, good luck. And I agree with Ms. Beatty. The quicker we can get on this for Alex, the quicker the better. So thank you. This was previously set on 7/19 and it was reset to today, I think, because Ms. Kay was out of town at that time. When I read the reports to get ready for court last time, Isabel was with relative in Galveston. Madison is with Mr. With her dad, Mr. Naines. Mr. Naines has completed his services. Mr. Felix was, oh man, I can't, needing the parenting class. Miss Davenport is now on probation for a while all this stuff started. And this is our second permanency hearing. So, Mr. Sturmer, you may begin, please.
Judge, I'd like to call Shandell Simmons.
Please.
Ms. Simmons, you're the caseworker for the department, is that correct?
Yes.
You prepared and filed a report back on July 14th, is that correct?
Yes.
I'm sure there's been a couple changes and things since the report was filed. Can you update us on what's been going on?
Mr. Felix did complete his parenting class. Ms. Davenport, she has missed a few visitation. And that's everything else is pretty much the same.
Okay. So would it be fair to say at this point that the parents, as far as the mother and Mr. Felix go, they are working services?
Yes.
Okay. What are we going to do about visits going, or what's the department's recommendation for visits going forward for them?
That visitation remain the same. Ms. Davenport has 2 visits with Madison a month. She did miss one last month and the other one was canceled. But if she can, I guess, get to her visitation, then we can keep them the same.
Did she provide any reasoning to you about why the visit was missed?
She said that she was sick. This was a supposed to be a 4-hour visit. She said she was sick for Isabel. She said she woke up late.
Okay. And is she giving you and everybody else, adequate time to in advance before that visit was canceled or before that visit was missed?
For the, I want to say yes. For the Madison visit, I'm not sure. The visitation, Jessica, the visitation person, she did not say if she told her inadequate time or not. She just said she canceled it.
And as for Mr. Felix, has he missed any visits?
Yes, he has.
When was the last time he missed a visit?
He missed Isabel, he missed the last visit. Him and Ms. Davenport did not make the visit.
Okay. And remind me again, is that the one that Ms. Davenport was sick, or was that the one that they just canceled?
The one she overslept was with Isabel. So her and Mr. Felix did not make it because they overslept.
Okay.
I didn't oversleep.
We're not talking to you yet. We need to be quiet.
Okay. So as far as their visits with Isabel, where are those visits occurring?
They're occurring at the placement.
Okay. And remind us again, where is that?
In Galveston.
Okay. And they're going to the placements house or city?
Yes.
Okay. And so you're asking that those visits continue?
Yes.
Visits with Madison for mother, where are those at?
They are in San Antonio at the department.
You're asking for those visits to continue at this time?
Yes.
Is there anything else you need to make the court aware of?
No, not at this time.
Okay, I'll pass the witness.
Anybody have any questions, Ms. Simmons?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Ms. Kagan, you can go first.
Thank you, Judge. Ma'am, so I represent Mike Felix, Isabel's dad. Are his visits with her still supervised?
Yes.
Who's supervising?
Ms. Dana Hutchins.
So the placement?
Yes.
Okay. What services does he have left to complete?
He's still in therapy. I haven't heard anything from his therapy saying that he was discharged, so he only has therapy left.
Okay, and he's in regular attendance with his therapy appointments, correct?
From what he has told me, yes.
And you haven't heard any different from his therapist, have you?
No.
Okay. Have there been any concerns, the visits that he's made with Isabel, has there been any concerning behavior reported by him?
No, Ms. Hutchins didn't report anything.
Okay, so it seems like they go okay. Right?
Yes.
Okay.
What is what's the department's permanency goal in this case?
The permanency goal would be family reunification with Mr. Felix. We will not recommend reunification with Ms. Davenport.
Okay, so you're planning to reunify him with Isabel, right?
Yes.
Okay. So is there any reason why he can't start having some unsupervised time with her?
No.
All right, and if he's going to start having unsupervised visitation with her, is it possible that the caregiver could meet him halfway so that we don't have these transportation problems?
I'm not sure. I can find out. I'm not
You'll have
sure.
to ask her. Okay, that's fair.
Yes.
What kind of unsupervised visitation for him would you be comfortable with? Because it's such a long distance.
I would say he can have, I guess, 4 hours unsupervised.
And I guess he'd have to probably work out the time and the logistics with the placement.
Yes.
Okay, I'll pass the witness.
Mr. Dennis.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Simmons, in relation to that child specifically, my client, Ms. Davenport, and Mr. Felix are visiting together currently, correct?
Yes.
Or at least at all times that they can, they're visiting together, right?
Yes.
It's your understanding that they're in a relationship, correct?
Correct.
They live together, correct?
Correct.
And so offering him 4 hours of supervised, but not recommending it for the mother, Ms. Davenport, kind of would put us in a situation that puts everybody at a disadvantage, correct?
I'm not sure. Because it's sometimes that Ms. Davenport has went on her own, and I want to say Mr. Felix has went to visit on his own as well. So I don't.
And that's because, and Ms. Simmons, that's because it's a great distance to drive, correct?
Correct.
And they both work schedules that don't always line up, correct?
Correct.
Is the placement made any comments or issues with Ms. Davenport's visits when they happen?
No.
Isn't it true that previously in this case, we have tried to discuss with the department and with the caregiver an option to give the caregiver the ability to dictate when those visits happen, and the department said that they didn't want that?
I'm not aware of that.
You're not aware of that?
No, I just.
You're not aware that the
this case.
placement and my client were told that they have to have the visits on a specific time in a specific place, and could not dictate when and where they could meet based on their schedules?
No.
Okay. Is the placement here today?
She should be. Is she in the waiting room? Maybe.
Okay. You don't know?
Let me. I think she's in the waiting room on the iPhone.
Okay. Judge, if we could check when you have a second, I'll keep going though.
I'll tell y'all who's all there. iPhone. Nobody comes in if they're on an iPhone. Let's have the name. Let's all identify. Natalie Bennett, Tiffany Gregg, Matt, is my name Hale, and Jared Slade. That's all I got.
I think she's on the iPhone, Judge.
Mr. Dennis, y'all need to let her know that she needs to put her name.
I'm
I'll have my
texting her.
client text. Yeah, we'll figure
I'm
that out.
telling her.
Ms. Simmons, can you tell me what services my client still needs to complete on her service plan?
She still is doing therapy. Because she was discharged from the last therapist, so she just started with a new therapist in June.
Okay, so it's been about 2 months, right? Been about 2 months with this therapist, correct?
Yes, well, almost 2 months, yeah.
Okay, and she's had a couple of other therapists prior to this, correct?
Correct.
All right. You would agree with me that my client is now on deferred probation for the criminal charges that started this CPS case, right?
Yes.
Are you familiar with what deferred probation means?
No.
Okay, so is it your understanding that if my client is successful, that will not be a charge on her record?
No.
Okay. Ms. Simmons, so the only thing that my client needs to complete at this point is therapy, right?
Yes.
And she's been working a full-time job for many months now, correct?
Correct.
Can you tell me why several of the visits with the other child in San Antonio have been canceled?
So the last one was canceled from my knowledge was for the Mr. Nunez. I'm not sure exactly why. Ms. Davenport just reported that Mr. Nunez canceled the visit. In June, it's because of the Ms. Davenport's schedule. She sends her schedule over, and her schedule has conflict with the person that does the visitation. So they had come to agreement that the person that does it, that Jessica, she will send Miss Davenport her schedule. That way, maybe they can kind of work it out and figure it out, because Miss Davenport said that she does her own schedule for work. So that's when they was able to get the 2 visits scheduled for the month of July, which we gave extra time to cover the visits in June that were missed. And Ms. Davenport did not show for that visit.
Ms. Simmons, would you agree with me that one of those visits she was given notice of the morning before it happened?
So that visit, she was given the morning before because it wasn't a scheduled visit. So Jessica stated that she had a cancellation. So she know that Ms. Davenport did not get her visits in June. So she had that cancellation early that morning. So she texted her at 7 a.m. to ask if she would be able to do the visit. So she was just trying to make up for the visit in June. And Ms. Davenport said, and she saw that Ms. Davenport was off on that day. So that's why she reached out to her.
Okay. And you'd agree with me that you put that in your report as a missed visit, right?
I'm not sure, did I?
Okay. You'd agree with me, though, that it's kind of unrealistic to ask her to drive to San Antonio on a random day without a plan prior when you get a text at 7 a.m., correct?
I'm not sure.
That's also the day that my client has therapy, correct?
I'm not sure that was her therapy day.
Okay. Would you agree with me that my client has missed quite a few visits that were supposed to occur in San Antonio?
Yes.
Would you agree with me that this has been an ongoing issue for going on 9 months now in this case, her visits with the child that lives in San Antonio?
I can't agree to that. I can agree to the 2 months that I have been on the case.
So Ms. Simmons, you haven't reviewed the case to know whether or not that's been an issue the entire time?
Yes, I have reviewed the case.
Okay. So you'd agree with me that Ms. Naines has not wanted Ms. Davenport to visit, right?
You said Ms. Naines has not wanted her to visit?
Correct. Mr. Naines has been in front of this court and asked to restrict her visits or modify them so that they are very limited to 1 time a month, correct?
Yes.
And we continue to have problems with visiting that child in San Antonio, right?
Yes.
Okay. So can you tell me why the department would be not in favor of, number 1, a family reunification to the Ms. Davenport, and number 2, why you were not in favor of starting short periods of unsupervised for Ms. Davenport and her children?
Because Ms. Davenport pled guilty to child endangerment and abandonment. So we are unable to recommend family reunification with Ms. Davenport.
Ms. Simmons, you understand that the family code, specifically the CPS portions of the family code, require that the department provide an avenue, provide services to family reunification with the parents, and that you are supposed to give her the tools to accomplish that, right?
Yes, and we also we do not have any recommendations from the therapist to start a monitoring return our family reunification at this time.
But you said that she's already completed all of the other tasks on her family service plan except for therapy, right?
Yes, and her psychological does not recommend it as well.
Okay. Psychologicals don't recommend family reunification often, correct?
No. Yes.
Okay. And the department still works towards that, right?
Yes.
And the law says that even if just because the psychological says that a parent may not be a good independent caregiver for the child, doesn't mean that the law doesn't still require you to provide her an avenue towards a family reunification, correct?
Yes.
And there have been significant issues with visitation in this because these children are placed so far away, correct?
Yes.
All right. So other than her pleading guilty and not having a recommendation from a therapist, what concerns does the department have with starting unsupervised periods of visitation?
That's it.
Okay. Pass the witness, Judge.
Thank you. Anybody else have any questions, Ms. Simmons?
I do briefly, Your Honor.
Ms. Kramer?
Okay.
Ms. Simmons, with regards to Mr. Naines' child, how have the visits been going? Has mom been doing the transportation the entire time or traveling out for the visits throughout this case?
I think in the beginning, the visits was in Gatesville. So Miss So she didn't have to travel to San Antonio.
Okay, but recently she has been traveling to San Antonio?
Yes.
And has Mr. Naines allowed all of those visits to occur without issue?
This last visit, I was told that he canceled the visit. I'm not sure why, but other than the last visit, yes.
Okay, so for the rest of the duration of the case, no visitation issues have been on behalf of Mr. Naines?
No, it was between the visitation, Ms. Jessica that does the visitation and Ms. Davenport's scheduling.
Okay, and the department's goal is family reunification, but Mr. Naines has a monitored return of his child, correct?
Correct.
And so the department has essentially achieved the goal of family reunification as to that child?
Yes.
Okay, and the department is not at this time recommending any unsupervised visitation for the mom?
No.
And there are no therapy recommendations for unsupervised visitation for her?
No.
Okay. And regardless of the scheduling issues, she hasn't been overly consistent with the visitation? Okay. And at this time, is Mr. Naines supervising her visitation?
No, her visitation is supervised by the department.
By the department, okay. All right, I'll pass the witness.
Anybody else? Any questions, Ms. Simmons?
Just one real quick, Judge. Ms. Simmons, I know that you said that you don't really have a problem with Mr. Felix having unsupervised visits, but can you clarify whether you've got a recommendation from his therapist?
No, I have not received a recommendation from his therapist. I have not heard anything from his therapist.
Okay. Typically, the department does go off of therapist recommendations as far as unsupervised visitation. Is that correct?
Correct.
Would you prefer to try to reach out to his therapist to get that recommendation before you commit to recommending unsupervised visits?
Yes.
Okay. And do you have regular contact with his therapist?
I have emailed him and called him, but he has not returned my calls.
So it may be fair to say that he is recommending the unsupervised, but you've just not got that yet?
Yes.
If the court does go with what I just said, will you do everything you can to get in touch with him to get that recommendation?
Yes.
Okay, I'll pass the witness.
Anybody else?
Yes. Yes,
Yes.
ma'am. Okay. You know my client is the non-offending parent here, right? Ms. Simmons?
Oh, yes.
Okay, because he was overseas when all of this nonsense went down, right?
Yes.
And you haven't heard from his therapist that he's a serial killer or some kind of danger to this kid, have you?
No, I haven't heard anything from his therapist. And I know he didn't start his therapy. I want to say like at the time he was supposed to, like he kind of withheld on services. So I'm not sure.
Well, now hold on. Now he said he wanted to get his psych eval done and see the recommendation, and that if he was recommended to do therapy, then he would do it. Remember?
Mm-hmm, yes.
Okay, and so then he did, and he was recommended to do therapy. So then he started doing his therapy, right?
Yes.
Okay, and you just testified a minute ago that you were comfortable with him doing 4 hours of unsupervised visitation, right? You said that, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Okay, pass the witness.
Anybody else? Okay, thank you. Next witness, Mr. Stromer.
I don't have any other witnesses, Judge.
Thank you. Mr. Dennis, any witnesses?
Call Ms. Davenport briefly.
Okay, thank you. Go on, Mr. Dennis.
Ms. Davenport, can you unmute yourself, please?
Mr. Dennis, let me ask a question. Is she on deferred adjudication, deferred prosecution? What kind of supervision is she on?
Deferred adjudication.
Okay. Okay.
At least I'll say that's my understanding. Mr. Simmons is her criminal attorney.
Okay.
Ms. Davenport,
did she unmute herself? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Ms. Davenport, would you explain the difficulties you've had dealing with both Mr. Naines and with the out-of-county CPS worker and getting your visitation?
Yes. So I was told in the last court date to provide my schedule that I have when I get it, which I do. When I receive my 6-week schedule, I send it to Kyle, the current caseworker, which was Simmons, or before that it was Sarah Hall, and then I'll send it to Dana Hutchins, and then I would also send it to Jessica Moody, which is the person that supervises the visitations over in San Antonio. She does take a while to reply back to me for the visitations, and I wait my longest to be able to work them in. And then when she does allow me or it tells me the time that I can meet my kids, for at least Madison. I put that onto my calendar. I don't make any other appointments to do anything on those days. And then I will go to the San Antonio and do my visitations there. There has been times where it has gotten canceled the last minute. There was one time I was actually there and no one showed up to do my visitation, which I actually just communicated with Kyle and Sarah Hall at that time about I'll just have my little visitation in the office, and I sent videos of what we were doing. Plus there was cameras, there was people walking in and out. And then there was one time last month that I literally just slept in. I worked a 18-hour shift that day, the night before. So I kind of slept in. I do take full responsibility on that part. Other than that, I try to make every appointment on time, and I don't miss any appointments. That if I do, I at least let them know 24 hours in advance.
And you would agree that this Ms. Moody had texted you at 7 a.m. before saying that you had a visit scheduled day of without any prior notice, correct?
Correct. I can actually look at it right now. I went to confirm the appointments that I was supposed to have the visitation on, and she says at Friday, hold on. Anyways, so yeah, I can send you the screenshots, but basically she sent me, I texted that weekend, I believe it was on a Sunday, that I was confirming for the visitation on the 18th. She said yes at 10 a.m. And then she asked when I had court. And then she stated, so I don't know what's going on, but they are saying that they can't do the visitation tomorrow. So I said, okay, who is saying no? And all she replied back was Jonathan. I sent that screenshot to Ms. Simmons and to you as well.
Okay. And then let's talk about visits with your other child. You are having those regularly, correct?
Yes.
You are driving down to her location to have those, correct?
Correct.
How often are you doing that?
Twice a month. It's normally on a Saturday, to where I actually have to work. But I've been able to find a way to get it covered, but it's getting to a point where it's conflicting into my work schedule, and it's starting to put it as a unexcused absence. So it's getting me in trouble at work. I do send my information to Miss Dana, but for some reason it still gets scheduled on the days that I do work.
And do you believe that the caregiver would be okay working out the schedule with you to find some better times for you to visit if the visits have to continue to be supervised?
I have talked about that with her, but for some reason it doesn't work out like that. So I do what I can on my end, at least to make an effort to go and see my daughter.
All right. I'll pass the witness, Judge.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions of Ms. Davenport? Ms. Davenport, who are those visits with your daughter in Galveston? Are they supervised?
Yes, by Dana Hutchins.
And she's a placement, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Does Mr. Felix go with you on those visits?
Yes.
Okay. Does he have other visits in addition to those two you discussed?
No.
Okay. And where do you work?
I work at Providence Hospital in Waco. I got that job right after basically I got out of jail. I was applying for jobs, and I've been there since February the 11th.
What are your terms and conditions of probation about being around children or being around your children?
The terms and probation for the criminal side, it just says go off of what CPS says. So according to CPS, I can't be alone with any children under the age of 13, I believe it says.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Next witness, Mr. Dennis.
I call Ms. Hutchins briefly. Ms. Hutchins, are you driving?
And she's muted.
Wait, I'm on my way. Hold on. Can you hear me now? I'm sorry. Hello?
Yeah, she's to pull over to Dennis if she's going to testify.
Yeah, it's fine, Judge. I don't need to call her. She's driving. I'm not going to make her do that.
Okay, thank you. Any more witnesses, Mr. Dennis?
No, Your Honor.
Please ask me.
Okay, thank you. Okay, ma'am, you can mute yourself. Ms. Kay, any witnesses?
I'm going to call my client. Okay. I see you're in a car. Are you driving?
No, ma'am. I'm in the parking lot.
Okay. So earlier the caseworker was saying that you missed a visit because Kara had overslept and you said that wasn't true? You remember that?
Yes.
Okay, so what
So
happened?
so with that specific one, I had already said that I wasn't going to be able to make it due to, so like a little bit of background. I run the arms room for my company. It's a secured container. No one can get in it except for myself. And we had 2 tank crews from my company out with weapons that were supposed to report back at some time through the weekend. Obviously, the Army doesn't tell you when, what time, like far in advance. So I was on call the entire weekend to go to the arms room to make it that time. And with that, I was only given 80-mile distance to like be away. So like I would be able to make it in the hour. So I had said I wasn't going to be able to make it. I am on call for this arms room. I'm the only one that's allowed to open it. So with them saying that I overslept, that wasn't the truth. I had said previously through the week that I would have been on phone.
Okay. Do you have a security clearance, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And if the judge approves for you to have some unsupervised time with your child, you understand that Kara can't tag along for that, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So that the unsupervised time will be just for you, not anybody else, and you're okay with that? Is that a yes?
For myself, yes. But at the same time, like this whole thing with CPS arguing about the civilian criminal side,
Mm-hmm.
in my opinion, is bogus.
Okay, well, that's not what we're talking about. I'm talking about if the court wants to give you unsupervised time with your child, you understand that it's just for you and Kara can't come, right?
Yes.
Okay, and she's gonna order that, and you're gonna have to follow orders and do that, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'll pass the witness.
Okay, anybody have any questions, Mr. Felix? No, okay, any more witnesses, Ms. Kay?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, Miss Kramer?
I'll briefly call my client, Mr. Nanes. I'm sorry, I mispronounced your last name. Are you familiar with the visit that has been discussed as being canceled by you at the last minute?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And how much notice did you get of the time of that visit when it was supposed to be supervised by CPS?
I think relatively, actually, I had gotten a text at 6:40. I was in New Mexico, so my time was kind of a little sparse. I was at work, actually, when I had gotten the text message.
Okay.
Yes.
And you said you got the text message at 6:40. What time was the visit supposed to start?
Well, that was the text message was for that the day before, I believe. I apologize, my days are a little messed up. Either the day before, saying that there was a visitation tomorrow, or the following day, which was Monday, and that it was something to do with a catch-up day. But at the same time, I was kind of confused because I kind of assumed that we got all of that stuff situated.
So I guess the bottom line is, did you have enough notice of that visit to make that visit happen?
I did not. No one actually had that opportunity to do so.
All right. And so you did not cancel that visit. It was never discussed with you ahead of time so that you could make that work.
Right.
Okay. Have you ever canceled a visit last minute prior to that?
No.
At this point, are you willing to supervise Ms. Davenport's visitation?
Yes, that's more than fine.
And do you believe that you and Ms. Davenport could work out times for those visits to occur?
Yes, more than likely.
All right. I'll pass the witness.
Anybody have any questions, Mr. Jonathan?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Dennis?
So your testimony today is that you received more than 24 hours notice of the visit, correct?
Without them asking my schedule, yes.
But you were in New Mexico. Was the child with you in New Mexico?
No, I was at work. The child was in San Antonio.
With your mother, right?
Yes.
Who could have gotten the child to the visit with her mother, correct?
No.
Did your mother speak with CPS and give them a reason why?
Yes.
Okay. Would it surprise you? Did it surprise you when Miss Simmons said she didn't know why and hadn't been told why, that you just canceled?
Because that was a conflicting time with my schedule as well.
Okay. And you'd agree with me that there have been conflicting times with your schedule in which this child's visits with her mother have been canceled previously in this case, right?
No.
Give me 1 second, Judge.
Okay.
Would you agree with me that earlier in this case, you testified that you wanted to be present at all visits with the mother and the child?
Yes.
So you do want to control when she's able to see this kiddo, correct?
No.
Do you think that the mother wants to be supervised by you?
I believe that if it's by the court saying that she has to have supervision, it should be by somebody who is the other parent or relative to the parent. Yes.
CPS is not related to one of the parents. You would agree with that, right?
Right. But it is by the government. Yes.
What are your concerns with the mother having unsupervised visits at this time?
Considering previous information that I've received from the oldest daughter. Do you want me to explain?
That was extremely vague. Which daughter are you talking about?
Okay. Harley, which is the oldest.
When was the last time you saw Harley?
I've spoken to her, Harley's father.
Okay, so you've got third-hand information from a child from another person that
No, it was
in a
first-
relationship with Miss Davenport, correct?
It was firsthand. The father actually texted me and explained all of the information, saying that Ms. Davenport was on her way out of the state and she was supposed to have supervised visitation.
When was this?
This, I can pull up some information. I can send all this information to you.
Have you provided any of it to CPS?
I was only supposed to say, this was not even supposed to be said unless it was brought upon, but this was one of the informations that was brought to me by the actual person, the father himself.
Who told you not to bring it up?
This was only told unless it was said to be brought up because it was they said it was within a time frame.
I don't understand what you're saying, sir, but what I do understand is you don't want to tell this judge what happened, what this father has told you, or any other information, but you want to rely on that to have this judge not allow mom to have visitation, even though she's completed all of her services. And
Objection to argumentative.
It's not, Judge. I'm explaining a situation to get into agreement.
You know what, Mr. Dennis, I already know what I'm going to do about
Thanks,
visits
Judge.
with mom. So that's okay. I think it'll be okay. Anybody else have anything, Mr. Jonathan? No, thank you. Mr. Kramer, any more witnesses? No?
No, Your Honor.
Judge, there's a chat. I think Mr. Felix got, okay.
I don't see him in the waiting room though. Casa, what do y'all think about all this?
We feel that the children are doing well in their placement. We do feel consistent visitation is in their best interest. Jonathan did supervise the one that Kara was talking about. They were in the lobby together for a period of time. And to my knowledge, that did go well. So we do feel confident that that could be worked out between the two of them.
What do you think about Mr. Felix's visits, Ms. Beatty?
We would like to see something from his therapist, but pending that, unsupervised would be the next step appropriate.
Oh. Ms. Mystic?
I agree with everyone. The visit, it has been so hard to schedule. Eventually we're going to be out. I don't know where kiddos will be, but if Mr. Naines has supervised and the court does find she needs supervised, which I would request that until we have a therapist, it might be easier if they can work that out. And if they can't, I know Mr. Dennis will be back here for a hearing, and I know the attorneys will be back in for a hearing, but we should try that and see, because this has been tough. And I think a therapist recommendation, a little concerning, his response about this is separate. Mr. Felix's response about this being separate. This was pretty serious criminal case. I understand she's on deferred adjudication probation, but we don't have a therapist saying, hey, parents need to be unsupervised or anything like that. I think it'd be fine if we can just hear from his therapist and that's it. Like, not have to have another hearing, maybe an email that, hey, he's good to go to have by himself unsupervised. That's all I have.
Okay. Okay, I think we need to go to mediation on this case. I'm gonna move the final trial from 10:25 to 11:1, because I'm gonna be in training on 10:25. Who do y'all want to mediate this case? We might not be ready on the Felix child for mediation, but we might be ready on the Davenport child. So, or y'all can agree to a extension, or maybe by then we'll be ready for mom's return. I don't know, but I think for sure we need to mediate on the Davenport child at least.
I think that we're probably definitely looking at an extension on the Felix child at some point. Just the way things are going now, I could definitely foresee that. But I mean, are you going to order us to mediate on both kids, or just on?
Well, order y'all to mediate. Yeah, because I mean, if y'all all agree to an extension, that's fine. Okay. As to Miss Davenport's visitation with Madison, here's what I'm going to order. Her visits are to be set up on a monthly basis beginning 8/25/23, and that'll go till 9/15, 8/15/23 to 9/15/23. If a visit is canceled by CPS or Mr. Jonathan, mom can make up the time on the next week. I don't want any more missed visits. I mean, everybody's complaining a lot about visitation, so there should not be any more missed visits. So like I said, if they cancel at the last minute, the 2-hour visit, then she'll get 4 hours the next week or whatever. That's going to be gross, but that's a good reason not to cancel it. And supervision y'all can agree to Mr. Jonathan, y'all can agree to CPS. I'm gonna let y'all and the parents figure out who y'all want to do that. But basically we just need a plan in advance, and that's the plan, and that's what we're gonna do. As to Isabel, mom's visits remain. Mr. Felix's visits as agreed by his therapist, CPS, and ad litems, as also arranged replacement. I agree, until we get a therapist recommendation for Miss Davenport, we need to keep her visits for Isabel the same. Parents, y'all have a service plan. You have to comply. Your parental rights could be subject to termination. Thank y'all. I hope y'all work out for Madison in mediation. So, we'll be in recess on this case.